I am Yvonne, mediator, divorce custody life coach, a principal at Conceal Law Firm. We are in Dallas, Texas. On this channel, I will educate and empower you to resolve your own legal issues. My goal is to save you time, money, and help minimize conflicts, stress, and anxiety while going through one of the most challenging times in your life. This channel cannot and does not contain legal advice. The legal information is provided solely for informational or educational purposes. Before taking any advice based on such information, consult with an attorney. The reliance or use of any information on this channel is solely at your own risk. Can you imagine spending north of $5,000, $25,000, $50,000? How about $100,000 or even $1 million on attorney fees on a divorce or custody case? Yes, that's possible. The attorneys earned every dime too. And so how about the time? Imagine spending over 365 days of your life on a case. In this video, I will give you 6 tips to avoid this dilemma. I call it a dilemma. So I'll give you 6 tips to avoid it. Imagine if you tell your child when they become an adult that you spent $100,000 or $1 million on what could have been their inheritance, fighting their mom or fighting their dad. I've pondered this question and I imagine that my very bright 10-year-old son wouldn't have a good response. Even my 7-year-old will have a different opinion about me. And would they even think I'm qualified to ever give them an advice? So how do you avoid this? Number 1, don't conceal your assets. Unfortunately, it's very common for spouses, for couples to hide things from each other, to hide assets from each other, even during marriage, even during the marriage. But especially during a divorce proceeding, people tend to hide their assets. Attorneys will not advise their clients to reach a settlement if there is evidence that some assets have not been disclosed. And so that means the attorney has to go in and file motions to compel you to produce documents so that everybody knows what the community assets are. And that means that you end up spending funds on attorney fees for you concealing the assets. You spend attorney fees for the motion to compel. You spend attorney fees for the time opposing attorney uses to contact your attorney to ask for these documents. So do not conceal documents. Number 2, control it. It is not okay for one parent to try to control what happens in another parent's home. When parents decide that it's best to separate, the reality is that they may give up a level of stability for the children. Unfortunately, this is true. Even when the parents are together, the kids don't have all the stability. But when they're in 2 different homes, unfortunately, the truth is the kids have to adjust to 2 different homes. But no attorney would advise their client to agree to a settlement that contains an agreement or a situation where one party controls what is going on in another home. You can't be in your home and control what happens in another person's home. Number 3, don't seek to punish. This is a very common one, and it is not okay. It is not okay for one party to hold a grudge against the other party and use the child as a tool to punish. For example, mom, you know the father is a good father. He shows up at the child's activities. He shows up to school. He picks up the child. And you know your son wants to see dad. It is not okay to get upset at dad and prevent him from having access to the child. Then when the father retains an attorney and files so that the court gives some type of control to the situation, you get upset. That's not okay. Stop. Don't seek to punish. It hurts your child. It hurts you and it hurts your child. No attorney will let opposing side intimidate, harass, or bully their client. But if you continue to do that, that's more time and that's more money for attorney fees. Number 4, family violence or abuse. Learn to say, "I'm sorry," and stop the abuse. Typically, the abusive spouse tries to interfere in the divorce process by controlling the victim. That's not okay. No attorney would allow that to happen. And so what ends up happening is you continue to pay attorney fees for several motions that needs to be filed to stop you from intimidating, from abusing. More motion for protective order is filed. And so stop. Seek help for your anger. Don't try to intimidate. Don't continue the abuse. Apologize and save yourself some money, because no attorney will advise their client to allow you to control the process or continue the abuse. Spousal maintenance. So this is a big one. So one parent was a stay-at-home parent for years, while the other parent has spent several years growing their profession. And now it should be a no-brainer for one party, the party that has grown professionally. It should be a no-brainer for them to agree to support the other spouse, at least for some time. And at the same time, it's a no-brainer for the stay-at-home parent to understand that at some point they have to go out there and improve themselves. Now, if the issue is disability, maybe the other party, the stay-at-home party, is not able to get a job because they're disabled, then the hope is that the working spouse is sensitive enough to agree to support. No attorney will have relevant facts for spousal maintenance and ask the attorney to move on without support if the other party has the ability to provide that support. Now, here's the caveat. If there is no income for spousal support, then the amount of support will be limited. Be reasonable. If you're that stay-at-home parent, be reasonable. You can't ask the court to order spousal support or push your attorney for spousal support of $5,000 when you know that your spouse only earns $3,000. Where is the money coming from? And so some of these are common sense situations. Be reasonable, apply common sense, and listen to your attorneys. Next is unrealistic expectation. Why do you think you can be the primary custodian of the children when you don't even know the name of the school, the name of the teacher? You don't even know the name of the doctor. You're hardly present. What makes you think the court will give you 80% of the community asset? And why do you think the court will waive child support? So be realistic, save yourself some money and some time. Click below to access my life coach program for help with how to effectively handle your divorce and pardon amicably. Bottom line is, be reasonable, be willing to compromise and negotiate. Your case will be contested and cost you a lot of money if you are unreasonable and greedy. So be fair, and remember, it is okay for the other parent to have his or her fair share of the community assets. There's no need to hide them. Remember, the child has a right to both parents as long as there are no safety issues. Follow my channel to learn more about how to prioritize your children in a custody case. If you have not already done so, be sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell notification so that you are notified when I post a new video.